Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today we got this 2013 Toyota Camry. If you have 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, all the Camrys are the same 4-cylinder. And we got this catalytic converter. I'm going to show you the part number. And this one is blocked, so the car lost all power because the catalytic converter is blocked and there's no flow over the exhaust. So what I did was I took off, you can watch my previous video, I took off the sensor, drove the car, had a power. I did put a scope camera through this to show you what it looked like. And also I took off the bolts and loosened up, stuck a screwdriver. That gave it even better flow, and the car had a better performance. So this car wasn't going more than 20 miles per hour. And I had another Camry that had a throttle body, and throttle body will also cause that kind of symptom. But take a look inside. It's very simple. So today we're gonna change this catalytic converter, and then we're gonna do a complete process. You got 2 bolts in the bottom, spring bolts. You got the mount brackets here, and there's a shield that goes here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, 5 bolts. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts, and there's a gasket, and everything just comes out real smooth. So let's get this job going. So first of all, I want to show you guys, I took off the oxygen sensor. So all you need is a number 22 to take that out. I'll put that to the side, and I am going to be replacing a new sensor. And there's a bolt there, so make sure you do not break any of the bolts. So make sure it's nice and hot, and if you can't get it open, just make sure you torch it up. But mine was, the engine was nice and hot, they came out smooth. And here's the part number and the brand that I'm using right there. This thing is almost like a 600 bucks, and the labor, you're looking at like a 190 if you want to look into the labor. But let's get this job going. Before doing anything else, we already took off this sensor, so this sensor just comes right off. Let's put that aside. We're gonna put a new sensor into this vehicle. So you got number 10 over here. I would suggest you take that one off and put it somewhere safe. And also this one right here. So what you're gonna do is take this out, and we're gonna take off this reservoir here. Let's pop open this little guy and rinse it out. And you can just stick it somewhere to the side, and this reservoir should just come out. Put it somewhere safe so it doesn't spill. And I'm gonna leave it right there inside my garbage. Make sure you do not dispose it. So anyway, down there you have a number 14 millimeter socket, right? You're gonna put right there on that bracket, and there's one on the opposite side. So take them all both off, and you could later on take off the bracket. So I'm gonna do that, and then we'll come back, and after that we'll go underneath the vehicle. All right, so from right down here I use this extension, and I was able to reach both of the bolts. They're hard to see with the camera from over here because I had my arms in there. As you can see, I took off that bolt right there of that bracket, and then one on the opposite side, that's the one that going onto the block, not onto the catalytic converter. So next I'm gonna go get some tools. We're gonna take off this bolt down here. You can see it from right there. You see my finger coming out. And then this one you need a swivel. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this little bolt from the corner here. I have my swivel here, and the number 12 is stuck to it. So this goes on gently, and the bolt is already loose. So all these bolts are already loose. So let me see if I can manage to get this off by hand. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to get it off by hand, but I might be able to get it off with the extension here and a hand, and that will give me a better force. So let's take off this little guy from this corner off first. It's pretty loose now. The nut should just come right off. Try not to break anything, because if you break something, that's it. It's gonna be a bigger job than what it originally is. So the next step is, let me get my another ratchet. All I'm doing is getting a smaller ratchet now, and I'm gonna go fish the one from the bottom over here, which one is probably already loose, but I can see that one from right up here. Okay. Only thing is, this socket is not deep enough, so I'm gonna have to get a deeper. You might want to look into a deeper socket. From the corner one, I couldn't get a deeper because then it wouldn't give me any space for the swivel to go on. All right, so I'm gonna take this bolt off completely. The nut, not the bolt. You know, the stud should have come out. Yes, thank you, man. All right, so this should come off. There you go. Let's pop this one open. So this is pretty much more than halfway done. This job is more than halfway done. Let's get this corner one over here out. Come on, little guy. There you go. And let's take this little guy off. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out our pry bar. Let's take off this little guy because I know it's gonna, okay, it's part of it, I guess. But I am gonna loosen this up. At the same time, let's loosen up all these little bolts because right now it's held in there by those studs, and then we'll have a few in the bottom. We could just remove those. Let's loosen these up so it's more easier to transfer this shield. There you go. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go up in the air and we're gonna work in the bottom. Okay, boys and girls, let's just put one nut on this so that way something is keeping this manifold from coming out and hitting stuff. And now we're gonna just go up in the air and we're gonna work underneath. Okay, once you're underneath, you're gonna take off this bolt here, and these are spring loaded, so be careful it doesn't hit you. And a lot of times you might have to heat up, but if mine's break, it's okay because we do have new pieces. Anyways, none of this is gonna fall down because you have a mount right there that's gonna hold this muffler, plus it's gonna sit over here, okay? So let's get this 2 bolts out. All right, so I have my impact gun ready here with the 14mm socket, and let's see if I'm lucky. Pretty lucky there with one of the bolts. And let me give it a shot to the second one. I'm gonna just try to face away from it. Ooh, getting lucky twice in one shot. So we have everything loose here, okay? Now we can just come down and we're gonna remove the whole catalytic converter. All right, guys, so everything is loose. So I'm gonna take off that one nut we put on, and I'm gonna take out this little guy. And there it goes. The whole thing just lifts right out, and I'm gonna put it on the floor. Next, inside the package, we do have this gasket. So make sure you put the gasket same way. If you put it this way, you might have issue. It might not go on. But let's remove this little guy. Put it to the side. Match it up, same way, okay? All the holes should line up. This one is extra hole, that's okay. So this goes in that direction. Make sure it's nice against the block there, and it's pretty good. Now what we're gonna do is I am gonna take the shield, put it onto that manifold. Okay, so let's get this off. I pre-loosened it, okay? 2, 3, and 4. You take the shield. It's very important you put the shield on. If you do not put this on, you might have other issues such as things heating up, things melting. And so get this on. Put the second bolt here. Should be a direct fit, okay? So get all the bolts in, tighten them up. Also take off the brackets, put that onto here, and bam, 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 bam. Make sure your socket comes off. Come on. There you go. All right, next step, I am gonna take off this bracket and this bracket, put it onto this. All right, so I took off this 14 and this 14. I got both brackets on and they're loose, okay? Do not tighten them. We're gonna tighten them once everything is on because you might not get a perfect angle. So we're gonna put this on, put that bolt in, tighten that bolt first, and then snug both these tight, okay? So it's time that we put this back in. And also right now, let's see if the donut we can fit in now or later. Okay, let's see how loose it is. Okay, so the donut seal is pretty easy to put on. It comes in the package, so I can put that from the bottom later on. All right, so let's leave that out. All right, boys and girls, it's time for this guy to go back in. So let's simply just slowly take this guy back in. And what I like to do is I like to reuse the old bolts because they're a perfect match. So I'm gonna put one or two, and then we'll come back, and once the bottom is nice and tight, we could do the top, or we could just do it right now. So you know what, let's do it right now. Okay, so I got 1, 2. We're gonna put the one on this corner. Notice that little guy that goes right here off the old catalytic. We can put that later on once everything is nice and smooth and you have confirmed your job is successful. And there's one down here. We're gonna do the same thing. Put swivel on and tighten all these bolts up. I am gonna hand tighten these bolts. And there's one all the way in the bottom over here. You can see it from right here. So what I'm gonna do next is I am gonna tighten this, snug them all. I'm gonna snug them all and work my way out. Okay, so let me get my tool. So I'll start off with this one in the bottom here. I'm gonna get it all the way in as much as possible. Same thing here. Same thing right there. And same thing in this corner here. Then I am gonna get my ratchet here. And I'm gonna tighten them all. So that goes in. I don't want to go all the way yet. Let me get this, because hand is not perfect. Let's get this guy in. Alright, now I'm going to tighten it. Nice and tight. Oh, my socket stayed behind, and my camera, I'm sorry for the bouncing camera. That's the only way for me to attach this guy. Right where it's at. Let's move it with the car. Let this get this guy. Let's get this guy. And then let's get this guy. So we're done there. So far good. One over here, you have to use a swivel, or you could try to just get it in an angle like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just get it in. You don't need a swivel, guys. I'm sorry about that previous. So over here it's working good. Let me show you guys what I'm doing right now. This is pretty easy, just like this. You don't need a swivel. I thought you need a swivel, but look at this. Look at that. It's really easy. So all the bolts are tight. So let me finish out the job. I'm gonna tighten this, make sure all of the bolts are nice and tight, even the bottom one, and then we'll put the sensor in. And don't forget the brackets, tighten up the brackets, and don't forget the reservoir up here. This is the part you guys don't see me showing you, but this is where I'm working right here, tighten up the bracket bolts, all four. I already did this side, I'm doing this side now. Guys, while we're up here, we're gonna just finish up everything up over here. So take your reservoir, there's a little stud here, it sits inside that little hole. So you take this, align it, and make sure it doesn't fall. Slowly take your number 10 bolt and take your number 10 bolt. Take your reservoir cap, put that on, and we're gonna tighten both of the bolts. Bam and bam. So all we got up here left is a sensor. I'm gonna leave this one here before we start off. If you want to make sure we put another sensor so it's not leaking here. All right, so let's go underneath. All right, so next what we're gonna do is make sure you put the donut seal in. You're gonna have to figure out how to get that guy in, and all you're gonna do is you're gonna move this guy around and you should be able to fit your donut right in there onto that neck of the cat. Right there, where I originally showed you. Now you should be able to, you should have new screws inside the package. If you don't, you can reuse the old one. But if it comes with the new one, you might as well just use the new ones. So these are gonna be a little bit tough, so I'm not gonna be able to record this part because I do need to push and I'm holding the camera. So just push and turn, grab the thread first before you do anything. Okay, so that's done. We got the bolts in there, I still gotta tighten it. So you're only gonna tighten up to this neck over here. So just gonna snug it, make sure it's nice and tight, it doesn't become loose. I like to do them slowly, evenly. Once it stops, give it a tap, bada bing, bada boom. We're gonna go up and change the oxygen sensor. All right, next we have the sensor, oxygen sensor, part number. I'm using the Denso brand here. There's the part number, Denso. Again, there's the part number. And this is what it look like in the package. It comes with the little anti-seize. All right, so I do have an open package, usually keep it to the side. I'm not gonna break open this package, but this sensor is very simple. You squeeze on this tab right here, and if you have, you know what, let me set up my camera and I'm gonna show you how to take that off. Okay, so take this off, you're gonna squeeze here, and you should be able to pull that out. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open the package up while we're here, and we're gonna connect it, okay? I'm opening the package, that's what I'm doing right now. And all you do is you simply take this, stick it inside, it should click, okay? It should click. Let me put my hand out of the way. There you go. Now we're gonna come out of there. Finishing up the job, so you take this cover off. Well, this one has a little bit of anti-seize on it. Let's just put a little bit of this gold one to double it up a little bit. And what you do is, since we plug that in first, let's give it a few loops. And since it's gonna, okay, I went the wrong way. Let's give it a few loops. So when we tighten this, a few of those loops will undo themselves. Ah, didn't catch the threads. I'll be pissed if this thing doesn't catch the threads onto the new cat if they're wrong or whatever the scenario is. Let me go slow. There you go. Alright, so I'm gonna go get a socket. If you have a special socket, you could use a special socket or number 22. Even an adjustable wrench will do. Alright, so here's our adjustable wrench. You don't really need a number 22. Usually they're like 32 foot-pounds, so if you want to hand tighten it, it's okay. Make sure this thing does not touch anywhere. Zip tie it here to the, usually set down here. Anyways, that's how you're going to change this catalytic converter. And this job is only about hour and a half. You might get it done less than that, but no more than hour and a half, 2 hours if bolts are stuck, jammed up. But anyways, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. If you have any other issues, send me a message.